Today was my jury duty day. I talked about this a little bit before, maybe a week, maybe at the beginning of this month, I think, when I was talking about new experiences. I think I remember. And I was telling, the whole point of that video was that you should invite experiences and new opportunities, especially when they're just handed to you like today. Today, I got to go to the courthouse and waste 5 hours of my time. I'm gonna do a little story time about that, and then it's gonna lead into a theme. So, lol. Basically, I get there. My reporting time was 8:30. I get there at 8 o'clock because I wanted to be, wanted to look good, right? But I was also dreading it. I didn't want to go because I didn't imagine it to be very entertaining. I also did not want to wake up that early on a Monday. Now, either way, I get there and I'm kind of hoping I don't get called for the panel. But alas, after let's call it 2 hours, I finally get called for my panel. And then we all wait, and then we meet with the judges, or we meet with the judge, we meet with the lawyers and the plaintiff and the defendant and whatnot. And I'm juror 21 out of the 30 of us there in that panel. But I'm there. They're asking questions like, um, what is a home? What is a house? Like, what is the difference between those two to you? And like, I think one of the lawyers asked if we had a choice between being either Elon Musk or Steve Jobs, who would we be? And that was his coded way of finding out if we were Democrats or Republicans. That was pretty goated tactic right there. But we're sitting there, and as I'm hearing both sides kind of introduce us to what their side is like arguing for, I realize like no, this is actually cool as fuck. This is something not a lot of people get to do, and it might seem really boring, but in practice, it is a little bit cooler than a lot of people think. So I'm sitting there and I'm really hoping I actually do get picked for the 12 jury spots, right? So they're asking questions, and I'm making sure to be quiet because what we were told is that quiet jurors get picked because if you talk, that gives information about you, and what they what the lawyers want and what the judges want, they want a completely like they just want a blank slate of a human. If you answer questions that will show your biases and prejudices, they will kick you out because they don't want you there. Now, we walk out, they do all their deciding, we walk back in, and my name gets called. I was juror number 8. It was about 12:50 at this point. And then we're in the little jury box. And it looks exactly how I imagined, where it's the long table and the 12 chairs around with the whiteboard on the wall. I felt like I was in 12 Angry Men. Now, we sit there and they tell us, "Hey, we're going to reconvene at 1:30 for the actual trial, so you have about 30 minutes to go do whatever." And I just go fuck off in my car because there's nothing to do. There's nowhere to eat nearby. But we go back in. It's 1:30 at this point, and they say, "All right, there's a little bit of technical difficulties, but we'll grab you as soon as we can, and we can start this trial." I then played Clash Royale on my phone for another 30 minutes. It's about 2:10 at this point. The sheriff walks in. He goes, so they just low key settled. They settled the case. Now, which basically means that my job is I'm not useful anymore. The case is done. Trial's over. Which was very disappointing to me because I was really looking forward to it. As soon as my name was called and I got my little badge, I was like, this is fucking awesome. This is a little cool, you know. I get to preside over this case and really have my input weight on this. And I mean the case very cut and dry. All right, girl, she looks like my age. 4 years ago, she's drunk driving behind the wheel, has her foot on the gas as she's asleep, fucking launches her car over this lady's yawn and into her house, pinning the lady like under the car, and then the whole house is on fucking fire, right? The criminal case was over. Criminal, she served a year in jail, right? What we were deciding was how much money did the defendant have to pay to the plaintiff for mental anguish, right? And I was gonna say, Shotty, give them motherfuckers like all the money you got plus 10,000, right? But I was very like, they got me in the mood to do it. But unfortunately, my 6 hours were wasted. They ended up again. They settled for some amount I didn't ask. I forgot to ask, but I just left. I just left and I went to work. Now, although I personally didn't get to have the full experience of actually being a juror and listening to the case and meeting with my jury peers or whatever, and then just talking it out to come to a verdict, or come, I guess not really a verdict, but I mean yes, a verdict, and then a amount, an amount of money to be rewarded, right? Although I didn't get to do that, it was still like it was still an experience. You know, it was a fun little adventure I went on. Never really get to do those. So for me at least, I got to go new place, got to experience, I guess, the judicial system at play. It was still like it was still fun. It was still entertaining. I still enjoyed my time at the Collin County Municipal Courthouse. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed my time. And what I'm trying to say is that new experience like these, they don't actually need like they don't need to have the best outcome or the most desirable outcome or the more like fully fleshed out outcome in order to still be a learning experience, an entertaining experience, maybe just a fun little solo adventure that you do on a Monday morning that takes 6 hours of your time for no fucking reason, right? Even though I didn't actually get to be a juror, I still like I get to sit. It was a nice place. It was a nice experience listening to both the lawyers and the voir dire um, ask their questions and like really just present their cases or whatever. They didn't present their cases at the moment. They just brought up like the surface level shit. It was still like it felt like I was in a community of people, especially how the panels work, where it's literally just random people they pull off like like they pull random driver license numbers, and that's who they have for jury duty. My Not only is my panel very diverse, but the actual 12 of us were very diverse. I think I was the youngest. It was like I want to say two or three girls. Everyone else was like everyone was a dude, but it was like different age groups, different races, right? It was still very diverse. It made me. I mean, it really like fleshed out my worldview a little bit. I don't know. My point is the. It's just these experiences. There's still value to find in them. It doesn't. You don't need to have the most perfect start to finish for a new experience or a new activity or a new environment that you're in. You don't need to have a perfect one like beginning and end for it to still be a good, memorable, unique experience. Something that you can gain value from. And I do that's where I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it at that. And I do encourage you to really just put yourself up there. Apparently you can I think you can volunteer for jury duty. I overheard one of them talk about that. So maybe try it out. It was pretty cool. It is very fucking boring because there's a lot of just waiting. But other than that, if you get picked to be a juror, that sounds so fucking cool. Thank you.